Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel. So this video is a Q&A video. I have a few questions here submitted to me by my patrons over on my Patreon community. If you'd like to support my channel, to support my creative work, to learn about herbalism, herbal magic, astrology, tarot, and more, go check out my Patreon. The link is below. Okay, so I have, let's see, 4 questions here. So the first question that someone submitted to me was how did I meet my husband? So we met at the dog park. So when I first moved to this area, Santa Barbara, I actually lived up in the forest on the mountains up by the pass, and I would take my dogs down to the dog park, and it was, I think it's like 2 months after I had moved here, I met him at the dog park. Mostly it was my dog Kuruk, who passed away in December. There's a tribute video to him. I'll link it on screen for you guys, or you can go check it out. Because I had always told him, if you want a daddy, you have to help me find him, because he was a very particular dog. He was very sensitive to people's energies. I definitely knew when he felt someone had bad vibes, and I always listened to it. So we were at the dog park one day, and Kuruk, I called him Ku, just went up to my future husband and started circling him. And he was wooing at him like in a friendly way, and he wouldn't leave his side, basically. So it was a good thing. It wasn't like, if he didn't like him, he wouldn't have gone near him, right? So he picked him out, and I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll get to know this person. And we ended up getting married. Okay, that's how I met my husband, at the dog park. Okay, the next question, sort of related, it's animals, is how I got my connection to my animals. And this person who submitted it asked also specifically if it had to do with my dog who passed away. And no, that's not how I developed my connection to animals. I've always had a deep connection to animals. So I grew up with tons of animals. I kind of grew up in a zoo. We had lots of animals. And then when I was about 5, I think, my uncle and grandfather actually opened a pet store. So our family has always had lots of animals. I was born into a home with a dog or two. My grandfather's dog was always around. They were husband-wife dogs. Cats, and our cats we had at least 2 at a time who were having kittens. Like, it was a family of cats. They were related. They'd get pregnant by a neighborhood cat, and we'd have kittens. So when I tell people I've had dozens of cats and kittens, it's true. I've had dozens of cats and kittens. We always had batches of kittens. So I don't know life not with animals. Cats the biggest, but we also had, I think we had an iguana once. We had freshwater fish, saltwater fish, all sorts of birds, finches, canaries, cockatiels, budgies or parakeets. Yeah, we had a turtle once, and my brother actually smuggled the turtle in from Mexico. I won't go too into that. It was a long time ago. He won't get in trouble. Hamsters. I had lots of hamsters, and I would breed them. They had babies. I did my 4th grade science project on genetics. I used to want to be a geneticist, and I bred my hamsters for that. We never had bunnies, though. I've never had a bunny. One of the few common pets I've not had. I'm probably missing some in there. We had a snake once. My grandmother, it was a garter snake. My grandma was trying to kill it with a hammer in our driveway, and we saved it. We kept it. My brother kept it. So yeah, animals, all sorts of animals. So I'm not only cats, only dogs person. I'm not only mammals, or only birds, or only fish, or only reptiles. We've had lots. My whole life I've had lots of animals. As an adult, I've had mostly mammals, dogs, cats. I've had a bird, some fish. I guess I've had lots of things. I've had chickens, which was wonderfully amazing experience, and I hope to have chickens again someday. Okay, so that is my connection to animals, is because that's all I've known. The only time I've had no animals was when I lived in college in the dorms. Even if the pets weren't mine, I had roommates who had the pets. But even when I lived in the dorms in college, I had all my pets at home with my family. So I've never not had animals. It would seem very strange. I've always had at least a cat or a few dogs. Okay. Um, Next question is, how did I come to shamanism? And that's kind of like my connection to animals. I was born that way. That seems weird to answer because you hear lots of people like they have a near death experience or some sort of like initiatory traumatic experience. Not that I haven't had some of those in my life as well, but I do feel I am a hereditary shaman. I feel it comes from both sides of my family, most strongly from the Celtic sides, and I'm Celtic on both sides of my family, but especially my mother's maternal line. That is very strong for me. And my dad's mother passed when I was 5, so I don't remember a whole lot. But my mom's mom, who lived till I was in my mid to late 20s, I learned a lot from her. But she didn't like say, "Oh, I am a shaman or a witch or anything like this." But I learned a lot about some plants from her. I learned a lot about dream work. We used to sit at the kitchen table and she would, after grocery shopping, she'd be like, "Oh, have you had anyone have any interesting dreams lately?" And she would tell us about hers. And so it's, I'm a hereditary shaman. You could say a hereditary witch. I still am sort of iffy on using the witch term because it doesn't quite describe how I feel I am or what I am. I still struggle with labels. So hedge witch, if I use a witchy term, is usually what I use. But the top term I use if I have to label myself is I am a shaman. I've also journeyed since I was born, since maybe even before I was born. There's a story that while I was being birthed, the doctors were panicking because my heart rate dropped dramatically, and they determined that I must have fallen asleep in the birth canal. I think I was probably just going into meditation because it was a difficult experience. I don't know for sure. I don't remember the actual experience. But I've always done that. When I was a child, I would rock and I would go to other worlds and other places. And it wasn't just fantasy. I mean, this is since an infant. I have memories back to at least 1.5. And I would do this and go experience different worlds, but I wasn't controlling the story. I knew I was journeying. And then in subsequent experiences throughout my life, I've learned that, the difference between, imagining something, even active visualization versus journeying, or you can even say astral traveling. And then as an energy healer, I do my distance Reiki and shamanic healing. I mean, I journey to the experience of the healing. I know the difference between all those things, and the difference between journeying in that half asleep state versus just being in a dream. Just because it's practice. It's like anything. It's practice and how long you've been practicing it. So for me, it's like I've been doing that my whole life, as far as I have memories back. So that's just it's hereditary shaman. Of course, I've learned things along the way. I've studied to become an herbalist, and I've studied astrology, and I've studied things that have supported and backed up who I am. And I've thought about this a lot lately too, because like as I teach or when I read things, I usually read books that affirm what I'm already doing. So like I learn from experience, and then I study things to back it up and support it and then help it grow. Okay. All right. And the fourth question is, and this question came up because I've been focusing not solely, but a big portion of the practitioners and the scholars tier on my Patreon. Right now, we're in the midst of going through and learning about a lot of cleansing negative energy, cleansing space, creating sacred space, and then we'll get deeper into protection or protection magic, because those are important foundational practices to kind of always be doing. And I thought it would take a couple of months. It's probably going to take longer because there's so much to talk about. So this question came up because of that. And the question is, what are my daily cleansing negative energy practices? I think I talked about this in a post recently on my Patreon, but our everyday practices done with focus, done with intention, such as your daily shower, each time you wash your hands. And washing hands is so symbolic, like, not that you have to do anything like, emotionally or spiritually, dirty, but like washing our hands is symbolic of cleaning something off of us energetically. So when done with intention, those are daily negative energy clearing practices, especially our own negative energy. We all have angry thoughts and so on, stuff we take on from other people, especially if you're highly empathic, washing that away and with intention and visualizing your aura, your energy field cleansing away is a powerful daily negative energy cleansing practice. I also put down, dusting, cleaning, and organizing. Not that you need to clean your home from top to bottom, but if there's a messy pile, clutter, and I did a recent scholars post on feng shui, like clutter collects negative energy as well. And then sometimes that depends on what the clutter is about, right? It's those bills you don't want to pay, and that piles up negative energy and stress about money, even shadow about money. That's just an example. You want to clear clutter, organize things. I mean, everyday life, stuff builds up and things get here, but, spend 10 minutes a day, 10, 15 minutes a day. I call it my daily chores, and just do what little bits of cleaning and organizing you need to do. But dusting is an important one. Not that you have to dust everything every day, but on some sort of regular basis, whether it's you dust one room a week and the next room the next week, and it depends on how dusty things get where you live. But dust, like negative energy as well as entities, can cling to dust. And that's something I've observed, noticed, experienced since childhood, because I grew up in a haunted house. And it's interesting because dust would just accumulate so quickly there. It was a very windy place, San Francisco. It's pretty windy here too. And that tends to bring more dust. But when it just sits there and it's ignored, even if it's just a few days, like, oh, I'll dust it later. Like, there's something sticky to the energy. At least that's how I observe it. Everyone else is going to be different. So dusting can really clear the space and remove negative energy and entities that cling to that dust. So those are some of my daily cleansing negative energy practices. They're normal everyday things done with intention. If I need to cleanse space more specifically, or like say I'm doing, tarot readings, I usually cleanse my decks through shuffling, through a post-reading, shuffle through, clear the energy. There's our ways to do. I think I have a video on clearing negative energy from your cards. I'll look for that and post it. I think I popped that in once a couple of years ago. So there's those practices too. If I've done, if it's a day I'm doing client readings and so on, even if I've done readings for myself, I want to clear the deck, clean out any of my emotions that may be sticking to it. And again, if I want to do some more intense daily cleansing, I might do it with a candle. White candle, if you're trying to protect from negative energy, black or blue candles are good. But everyone, you do your own thing. These are Q&A questions for me and what I do. But I do recommend, showering and washing hands with intention. Things you do throughout the day that can just remove some negative energy that's clinging to you, coming from within you, to help you feel refreshed with a clearer state of mind. Okay, so that is my Patreon Q&A. I hope you found this interesting. I am curious, you guys out there watching this on YouTube, what are your daily cleansing practices, negative energy cleansing practices? Because I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, what do other people do? Do they do anything? Do you have a special ritual you do? I'm curious about that. So let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. Check out my Patreon if you'd like to support my channel and learn about esoteric topics. And I'll see you back here soon.